Hello, everyone. It's Kelly Hampton, and I'm joined by my assistant, Nora Ramsey. Say hello, Nora.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
And we promised that we'd go live today. We've switched formats here, so we wanted to do a brief introduction to share our excitement and share a little bit more of our past experiences about Glastonbury and a trip to Merlin's Cave that is forming now, and it will be held in July. So we thought we'd start with an overview, not an itinerary. All those details can be found on my website.
Yeah.
But we wanted to maybe in parts, there are a few openings left. My retreats to England, this will be my third sacred retreat to England, and it is open to both men and women. And we thought we'd start by talking a little bit about the places that we plan to visit and some of the spiritual things that have gone on in past retreats. So, Nora, do you want to just say a chit-chat real briefly about our first accommodations at Pilgrim's Inn and the wonderful host there?
Okay. Well, our first accommodation, as Kelly said, is called Pilgrim's Inn, and it's in the heart of Glastonbury. At the end of the road that it's in is the main town centre, so it's within easy walking distance of all the shops and the restaurants and cafes. So a great location. It's a very, very comfortable home, and our innkeepers are Brian and Claire, and they truly are very, very welcoming. And I have to say, they do a fantastic breakfast in the morning and cater for all tastes, so vegetarian, vegan, meat eaters, everything. And it's quite a communal experience in the morning around the table. It's really lovely.
And thanks for sharing that. We've stayed there. This will be the third time we've stayed at that inn, and we're lucky really to get in this season because they're fully booked except the time that we're gathering. They had a cancellation, and so I guess as moving on from that, before we're finished, we'll talk about the logistics of getting there early. Nora is the expert on all of that. If you notice, I'm trying to get in the spirit of England, which I thought was John Lennon's round sunglasses. But Nora informs me that that's sort of passé. But anyway, that gives you an idea of my age. We do like to have fun on these retreats, of course. We have a God, I guess we'll have a God night, also goddess and God or Lord or something, dress up optional event. We always have that, or have had that in the past. So I like to keep these retreats rather small, so the experiences are more intimate. We do plan to have a bit of fun, but the work we're doing is, I don't want to say serious, but this retreat will serve you best if you're on a spiritual path and you want to contribute to the betterment of the planet in a variety of ways through many guides that will come to us. That's not to say there won't be personal expansion, wouldn't you say, Nora? Because there certainly is that. We will, conduct our retreat as a group. However, there'll be times, certainly time for introspection. There'll be times when the guides call upon us probably to work in groups, 2 or 3 or something. That's been done in the past. So that's, the tone of it. Physically, everyone does need to be in a position where you can walk. We'll have van transport to the locations that are too far to travel on foot. And, one of the things, and one of the very unique places in the past, we've, of course, visited and done some work, is the Tor, T-O-R. And, we will be walking to it, and Nora's been kind enough to remind me that, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, that, there is a local shuttle for anyone that, might feel, they don't shuttle you to the top of the Tor, obviously. That's a bit of a climb. But well worth it, and we will do most likely work within the tour itself. I have a couple pictures here from last time, and so Nord, do you want to share with everybody your kind of interesting story about when we were guided to do really what I would call lots of alchemic exercises here? Nora was not present, and I'll turn it over to you for a minute.
Okay, yeah. Coincidentally, and I'll say coincidentally in inverted commas, I ended up with a bad back and had to go and see a chiropractor. So I couldn't go on that one occasion up to the top of the tour, which is where St. Michael's Church is. There's only the tower remaining. But the group did a lot of alchemic exercises, a lot of work up there within the tower itself. And it was interesting because when they came down and I was asking Kelly all about it, she actually was told by Archangel Michael that I had not been present when the group were together in a previous life doing similar work. And so, therefore, one can conclude that I was not meant to be present again because I wasn't part of the original group. So there's always some really, really interesting stuff that comes out of these things.
Well, and just to add on to that, the people that do come on the retreats, you know, they're the number and they're the exactly right people that are meant to be there. And for the most part, so far, we've all been connected in past lives. Those are the souls that have, you know, shown up for not only Glastonbury, but in Tintagel, but also Penzance and when we went to Italy. So just a comment, if you're wondering, and you know, do I have to be clairvoyant or clairaudient, etc.? That's a no. Many people grow in that way when we do things together, wouldn't you say, Nora?
Absolutely, yes.
You know, another kind of fun thing I wanted to mention today is that on all of these longer retreats that I've been blessed to lead and be a part of, Archangel Michael gives everyone an object and to bring in advance. And during the course of the retreats, we use the objects that everyone agrees to bring, happily, I think they do, in very unusual and remarkable ways. And I thought maybe, Nora, we could jump, maybe we are going to visit St. Nectan's Glen, and I thought I would just kind of jump for a minute, show everybody a representation.
If I could just say, this is the second part of the retreat when we've gone to a place called Tintagel, which is on the Cornish coast. So it's down in Cornwall as opposed to Somerset where Glastonbury is.
Which is a beautiful seaside village, I guess you would call it, or town. In the USA we might call it a town, but we've been there before. We've stayed at an inn adjacent to where our group will be staying this time, very similar in all respects, where we did, again, more alchemic work in and around the area and certainly part of Merlin's cave. So anyway, back to just the idea of these unique objects that Michael, you know, asks us to bring, and we use them throughout these long retreats. Someone, for example, someone was asked to bring a tambourine. Remember? Someone, Nora, I believe you were asked to bring a flute. This is symbolic of a flute. And
silver flute, yes.
And we use every tool in remarkable ways, really. And briefly, another tool that comes to mind from one of the Glastonbury retreats is the broomstick, remember?
Yes.
And that's been, you know, everyone, if you bring an object, then it's your object to use. You'll be guided how to use it. Maybe you'll get your own guidance as well. But that simple broom handle that one of the participants that brought in years past became a wand, a very sacred wand. And, we use it as such, and we're instructed to have it buried. It is actually pulsing in the ground over there still, pulsing with loving and healing light. And in fact, we may have a chance to revisit it when we get there. In addition to that, just back to Glastonbury for a moment. Every retreat and every group of people is different. So even though we're sharing some of the things that occurred before, there will be, of course, differences. No two retreats are ever alike. One of the times we were in England and, of course, spent some time at one of the holy thorn trees, many beautiful ascended masters came and anointed us, those that wanted to be anointed, that is, in what was a very moving experience. So, as I say, we'll work with these objects. They're a part of every retreat. Maybe one more object for the group, Nora, and that is, remember the gingham dishcloth someone was asked to bring, a very simple gingham dishcloth. And, gingham tears easily, as we found out when we were in Merlin's cave. But do you want to just add in a bit about, do you remember what we did with that, Michael, had us do with that dishcloth?
Yes, we each had to have a strip, so it had to be evenly divided between us all. And then we actually had to join all the strips together, so it was like a star shape, in fact a wheel, and we all had to move around in a clockwise direction first of all. So we were actually time traveling. It was quite incredible. And then we had to move back the opposite way, and so we were time traveling back in time. So very, very interesting stuff that was coming up for everyone about what they were feeling and what they were receiving in terms of a message in respect of that exercise.
The violet flame appears. Saint Germain appeared as a seagull. Everyone will be given a mascot or a guide each day. You may be given other tools to work with. We have time for group sharing. So if lessons, I call them lessons. So as lessons are conducted, we will gather some point in time, maybe in the meditation room that's behind Pilgrim's. It's really a nice separate space that will be open to us to gather as a group some nights. Also, we realize that sometimes people want alone time to process the work that's being done. And so that's really a nice space to do that kind of thing in. We also, we wanted to talk about, I suppose, the immediacy on perhaps your end. If you're thinking about traveling, there is a condensed time frame for this retreat, unlike past others. The restrictions from England have been lifted. Many of the mask requirements have been lifted on airlines now. And it is always a good idea to build in time on the front end, and usually I would say probably on the back end also, to arrive to England, before the actual retreat begins. And so to that, Nora's going to speak just a little bit for everybody now.
Okay, so there's a few options. For those that are travelling into one of the London airports, Heathrow, for example, you may want to, depending upon what time you're arriving, just stay overnight in one of the airport hotels, and there are many there. If you are getting the...
That's what I'm doing.
Or... I'm going to sort of go into a bit of logistics as well here.
Okay,
so,
if I may, just a minute, because the last time we checked, Pilgrim's Inn, where we're starting our retreat, does not have accommodations prior to our start date on the 17th. So that may have changed, so maybe someone canceled, but if you're interested, we can certainly link you to them directly and you could make that inquiry. But as it stands, again, it's recommended that you get there early to allow for jet lag or lost luggage or anything of the like. And I know some of you, I think I've heard from, might be traveling even from other countries prior to the retreat. But so, Nora, back to you on, you know,
a
little more about that.
As far as other accommodation in Glastonbury is concerned, there are loads and loads of bed and breakfasts, similar style inns in and around, and you can easily find out more details on booking.com or one of those other websites.
Okay, wasn't there a national transport or something you were going to mention to get
I was just about to go back to that. So in terms of getting to Glastonbury, there is what we call a National Express coach that goes from Heathrow, but you'll need to know what terminal you're coming into when you actually book it online. And that will take you directly to Glastonbury, but it's about 3.5 hour journey into the centre of Glastonbury, and then you've probably got about a 10-minute walk with you.
Sorry about that. Checking.
That's okay. You probably, from the centre of Glastonbury, it's probably about a 10-minute walk from where the National Express coach would actually deposit you.
Okay, and if I may, in other years past, you know, we don't all gather at Heathrow. I've not been a fan of trying to coordinate that. Sometimes people have gone to Scotland or Ireland first and chosen another, you know, route to get to Glastonbury. So that's pre-thinking that also needs to go into this.
And in fact, if I could add here, Kelly, that's what I was going to come on to next. The easier route to Glastonbury is to arrive at Bristol Airport. And on previous occasions, as Kelly said, people have actually flown into Dublin in Ireland. If you've got a direct route into Dublin in Ireland, then you can get another plane from Dublin to Bristol. And Bristol Airport is about 23 miles from Glastonbury, so very, very close, and takes about 40 minutes, 40 minutes in a taxi, and taxis would cost you approximately £60. But that's a far quicker route than going into Heathrow in London, one of the London airports, because then you've got a 3.5 hour journey on the National Express coach.
Okay, thank you. And while we're talking about that, on the end of the retreat on the 25th, if you're planning on coming, we would not, you know, we recommend an evening flight if you're going to leave that day at all. Our coach, our transport, is prepared to drop anyone that wants to leave from Bristol Airport. That's part of our itinerary. And for everyone else, our final destination back at the end of the retreat will be dropping the rest of us, off in Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. There will be a meet and greet also once anyone and everyone's registered, and so we have a chance to kind of do that. I think I wanted to just show a picture, maybe chat about Avebury Circle real quickly with folks. I can either pull up the ending of the guides that came through on my email, unless you have it ready, Nora. This is, you know, when we will be going to Avebury Circle. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Well enough. And, well, that's, of course, everything is a magical place. It was another experience for me, anyway, of you know, leaving this earthly plane for an experience of interdimensional travel. I don't know if I would even call it time travel, but you know, quite a wonderful experience. Speaking of kind of stones, certainly our visit to Stonehenge will be there, was planned in our itinerary. We'll be working with Mother Earth, when we talk about the guides. I imagine we will. We have in the past. The origination of these retreats of mine to England began by working on the ley lines of Michael and Mary. So we'll investigate those again in various ways. We'll be guided to see what, if any, grid work needs to be repaired. As I say, we're here of service. There's time in there. People always wanted some downtime, shopping time. There is some of that all placed in there. But this type of retreat is best for, as I say, souls that know they're here to do work or feel such, have a calling. Many people have said, I've got a calling. I want to go there. One more quick thing before maybe we talk about the final things, the comments from souls, as Nora had some apparitions, is that there are a very limited number of single accommodations, and so the way they're filled is the soonest your deposit is brought into me, that's how they're filled. And as I would say, there's always a limited number of single accommodations in both places, locations where we'll be staying. That should not be a drawback, hopefully, to anybody, because the idea of a pilgrimage, pilgrimages were gathering of people, getting to know people, your groups of people. And so, and Monoro, who lives in England, probably will testimony that many accommodations in England, those of you that have traveled Europe, largely Europe, unlike America, where most accommodations are shared. That's typical in many inns that you'll find. And so we hope that you also come with the spirit, of being a pilgrim and inviting, the experiences of getting to know others. Again, the group will be on the smallish side. The exact number has not yet been determined yet, but we hope that extroverts and introverts alike will be drawn to come. Yeah. So, Nanar, do you want to close? Anything else you want to say? Would you like to close by some of those comments on our last day? Nora is an excellent logistical person. Besides the other, being a star healer, she will be leading some of the meditations in the morning, the intention settings. She has her own experiences energetically, and just the overall smoother outer, the cheery one of the two, the early riser of the two of us, right, Nora?
I'm definitely the early riser, yes. Out of the two of us, anyway.
Right. And I'm super thrilled that she's agreed to assist me again. But do you have those comments drawn up, maybe, about your experience on the last night, one year leaving Tintagel, and again, the other great purpose Nora serves is that as a channel, I'm not a trance channel. However, it's not likely that I remember much of what comes through. We just by nature of it all, doing it, and So, do you want to move to that now before we say goodbye?
Yes, I do, because it was a very exciting and special privilege for me, because I was lying in bed on the last night, and we were at Tintagel at the coast, and so it was the last night of the retreat. And I just wanted to let you know that so I'll speak personally first of all, I had a visitation, and I was aware of a wonderful energy to my right side, and I was told it was a goddess. And then I became aware of another energy on my left side, which I recognized from past experience as being Archangel Samuel, and I've saw his lovely pink light and just that wonderful love that was just flowing from him. And I was just completely overwhelmed with it. And what I hadn't realised at the time was that there was a third presence as well. And it was only when I was telling Kelly the next morning, she confirmed to me, she checked in with Archangel Michael and confirmed that the goddess I had was Goddess Athena of love and beauty. And she confirmed it was Archangel Samuel. And I also had Saint Germain at my feet. But I was so overwhelmed with the two that were beside me that I didn't even realise that he was there. And apparently each one of us had received a visitation from 3 ascended masters or archangels, and they were all different. So it was just such a wonderful acknowledgement of the work that we had all done in serving. And it was them saying thank you. So yeah, so very, very special.
And on the last day too, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, anything else to add? You know, we'd love to start the process. If you're called to join us, begins with an application. You can either email me for that. If you're on my newsletter already, there should be a link. There's a link on my website, kelly-hampton.com. to see if it fits with you, you fit with us. Then once that's accepted, you know, a deposit is required to secure your spot, and things progress from there. So I guess that's it for now, and thanks to you again, Nora, for making space in your life for this trip. Every retreat has been seamlessly expansive. One final thing. We may or may not be privy to a crop circle on this trip. It is the season in England for it. However, this is not a crop circle retreat, if that's what you're looking for. When on the prior 2 retreats, the Archangel guided us to both of them. One was only a few hours old. But again, that's not made known until we're kind of there, really, and it needs to be in our line of travel and traffic. You know, unless we're, you know, good guided, strongly guided. Again, there's no guarantee. It would need to be in our area of our itinerary, but many stories can be shared about it. There's also healing, of course, can be done through pictures of the crop circles, and if we don't personally experience anyone, we can gather and convene about those in the evening or whenever we have some free time as a group, and still be in their frequencies and learn from them. So I guess that's it for now. We're going to wrap it up. Any final word, you know, an English expression maybe for us, Nora? Like cheerio or tally-ho or
well, we don't, I have to say we don't say tally-ho anyway.
I don't know where I got that, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone again. Thanks for your time, and hope to see you in sunny Avalon. Bye now.
Look forward to it. Bye.
Bye.